Hello, everyone, and it's the next episode of Illuminated Discussions. Tonight I have on Josh Shoup, and we're going to be talking about. Well, I just realized I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this game's name.
I
Valthirian?
be- yeah, I believe it's Valthirian Arc.
Valthirian Arc Hero School Story. A second.
All right.
All right. Thought my microphone went mute there for a moment. But yeah, Valthirian Arc Hero School Story. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is kind of a mix between an action RPG for the combat segments and a sort of simulator for building an academy for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's a pretty good marriage of the two, considering you have your base building aspect, and then I would say it's a pretty fair RPG, like Legend of Zelda almost style fighting.
See, I'd probably compare it more to, weirdly enough, your older games like Secret of Mana.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think is a more apt comparison.
No, that's a very good assessment, actually.
I mean, don't expect combat to be that in depth or detailed,
No.
but yeah, this is a very, very simple game.
Yeah, it's simple from the get go. I mean, when we talk about your action when you're fighting, I mean, you only actually use a couple buttons. Like you have your basic attack and like your special attack, and that's virtually it. But it just kind of depends on what class you're playing as that can really change what you're doing. Like you have your basically your melee versus your magic users, and it kind of differs from there.
Yeah. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen the show before, the essential premise is like I found his review, and me and him don't really agree on this being a good game. Like I know you were pretty positive overall when you were giving your assessment of this game originally, correct?
Yeah, I went into it. I mean, and I'll kind of break that down a little bit. Oh, but it was at the end result. I was like, this game is fine.
See, for me,
But
when I played through, I see this being like for such a very small niche of people who are actually going to get much out of it.
I would agree with that as well.
Yeah.
This game is definitely not for everybody. Because yeah, when I started playing the game, admittedly, and I don't think I even put this in my review, but the first couple hours were so boring that I was falling asleep on my couch with a controller in my hand. And it really didn't even pick up for me until probably the third or fourth hour, which obviously most people by that point would say, yeah, I'm not, this isn't worth it.
See, I was actually a bit more interested in it like in those first couple hours because it seemed like it might actually start to build and get a bit more interesting. The problem is no matter how long I played it, it just didn't feel like anything changed.
No, well, it's because the story itself is kind of bland in the sense that like because the way the game starts off is there's this academy that trains essentially your heroes, and you used to be a student, and you're a faceless protagonist, which that usually I'm not crazy about, anyways. Like, come on, you guys can't do like one thing, like one picture of a guy so you can have the interaction, but whatever. But you start this school off, and it's supposed to be this prestigious school, and I'm like, okay, so you have this building where you can only have 4 students, and how the hell is this prestigious? But it's you you start your school, and basically you have to send your students out because your protagonist is a lazy asshole. So you send them out to do missions to make money so you can build your school up. And that's why in the beginning it's so dull and it gets very repetitive. kill X amount. It's almost almost like an MMO in that way, because you just go out and kill X amount of things.
See, I think going into this game, you just have to accept the story is nonsense. Don't try to make sense of anything going on, like how you get money when someone graduates and not when they go to your school.
Yeah, that's true. I could see like you getting a better reputation from like students graduating, especially if you do level them up enough in like the special classes. But yeah, you're right. How the hell is the school getting money?
Yeah, like the story is just kind of there as this paper thin excuse to do things, which it's fine. I wish they wouldn't have so many bits of dialogue in that case because you just don't care about any of it.
Right. Well, they had dialogue in the wrong spots, if you ask me, because when you are doing your base building, when you are at your school, you see like zero interaction with anybody. The only kind of interaction you can really get is by the merchant who randomly will come to your school, and that's literally just to buy shit. And then there is the classrooms from time to time. You can click on them and it can say, you walk into the classroom and there's a wallet on the ground. What do you do? And that's pretty much it. Like, it'd be kind of nice to see more interaction with the other teachers and whatnot, because it's very minimal.
See, if I really cared about anybody presented in that game, I would agree with you, but I have no desire to talk to any of those people, except for maybe like one or two of them.
Yeah. It just to actually build something more of a story, like I think it would have been interesting, because the only real history you see as far as your protagonist is that you're an ex-student and that you were really good, but that's it. And it would have been nice to see them kind of delve more into it, like you were specialized in this class, and maybe, I don't know, late game or something, you could have gone out as your character and be like a special character on the battlefield. Because, like, yeah, towards the end of the game, when really shit's hitting the fan, your character's still like sitting on his ass doing nothing.
See, that's why I think the game would have benefited from just less story, which I love a good story, but just if you're not going to do anything with it, just keep it as paper thin as possible. Don't throw a bunch of dialogue at me I don't care about. Just have your non-story management combat game.
Lift the gameplay up.
Yeah.
No, I can agree with that.
Now, if they're actually going to put the effort into the story to make it interesting and good, go for it. They clearly weren't trying.
Well, it's like you said, the story is bland, and I mean, did you want to kind of go into the spoilers for it? I mean, the story is bland enough that no one's really going to care if we spoil how the game is, the story.
I'm not going to lie. I don't remember anything other than Colt wants to use dead person's body to make a Wicker Queen. That's what I can remember of this story, because I just started skipping so much of the dialogue by the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much you have these you have this massive kingdom, and you have these 5, and they call them queens, which doesn't make sense. And then you have one kind of queen to rule them all. She dies, and you find out, lo and behold, she had a child, and it ran away. And after she dies, yeah, this cult's trying to find this daughter, and that's what your school ends up trying to do as well. And you find her, and she's just, hanging out on some beach with some dude bro, and you bring her back. You go to anoint her. The cult attacks, and then you have random dude who's the end boss of the game. You don't see him or hear of him in any kind of way till you're fighting him, and he's the end boss, which makes zero sense. And then yeah, you kill him, and then that literally is it. Like, she becomes queen, and that's the end of the game. It's like, okay, well, I'm glad I enjoyed the gameplay of this at least.
See, the gameplay got way too boring for me at a certain point. Like, I understand $20 game, not gonna get a lot of depth. You're not buying a lot of depth. You're buying a $20 game.
Right.
But the combat, it's one where I almost felt the AI was too competent.
Yeah, they do kind of go rushing headlong. And
I just
sometimes the pacing, I think that's something that we really should talk about, because I don't know if you had this in your experiences like I did. So I felt it was very strange that I was playing the game, and you have, like most RPGs, you start off your missions like you're going to kill simple things like right off the bat, right? Very simple creatures, and that's fine. And as you get further in the story, it's going to be much harder creatures. And it got to a point where I was towards the end of the game, and I'm getting these missions to fight like slimes, basically. Like, what the hell? These from like the beginning of the game. Why am I being sent out on a mission to kill these guys now?
See, I understand why, because you still got to build up like new students, because you have to send some off every year or every semester. So you need lower ranked missions to kind of build them up. And honestly, the default training missions are terrible for that.
Yeah. Well, what I ended up doing was I would just take a new student. I'd put them in my master party, because you can have in the game, was it 3 parties of 4? And what I ended up doing was I would build up characters, and I would put them in the other parties to do the missions that you do not actually go out and do. And then I had my master
the requests, errands. Right. That's what they were called.
Yep, the errands. And my master team was the team that I'm always going to play. I'm going to play as them. Now, what I would do is I would exchange out one of those really good characters I had into one of those secondary teams, and then I would bring the new guy in, because I knew that I could go out with my master team and just destroy anything. Especially, and this was really strange, if somebody goes into the game and right off the bat with your base building, if you took the time and the money to put the farms, so you're generating money, before you know it, you have so much money in the game that you don't know what to do with it. Now, this merchant would appear randomly in your school and would always have different items that you could buy off of her. And once they were gone, and she would leave and then come back eventually with more random. Early in the game, I got this weapon, I think it was for my mage, that was so extremely overpowered that I would go, no matter what mission it was, I could go in with just that one character and basically one hit kill everything on the map.
Yeah.
So, like, it seemed kind of strange that they would have a merchant appear with that. And it kept happening where I was getting this extremely overpowered gear. And so as soon as you put somebody with that kind of gear in one of your secondary teams, you knew you were going to pass whatever errand it was being sent out on.
Yeah. The game did not balance itself very well for anyone with like much knowledge of how management type games work.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing, the redeeming quality, and I think this is where you and I probably disagree, and that is, after I got over that few hours slump in the beginning of the game, and I kind of got my footing on the base building and how that can affect you on your missions, and then actually doing the missions, then it became something of an addiction, honestly. Like, I ended up playing this game for like 9 hours straight, because I was having so much fun, like taking my teams and then like, okay, what am I going to have this person do? Because every new student starts off as an apprentice. And after you level them up to level 10, I believe it is, in the beginning, later on they can go a little bit higher. You can go into a secondary class where you can have them be a knight, a mage, or I believe it's like a thief type character.
Scout?
Or scout, yes. And then after you level those up to like a maximum level, you can have them go into like a final class. And so you end up leveling these characters. You could have an entire team of apprentices and then go knights with all of them, and then from there break it off into like I'm gonna have these people be a paladin. I'm gonna have these guys be the like dragoons. So I had a lot of fun with that. So
See, where my issue with that kind of started to come in is it didn't matter what class you were playing, it just kind of felt the same to me, except for like the mage can shoot at a range. Otherwise, it was just run up, smack crap. There's minor differences, but not enough to really feel like I was playing a different character.
I didn't feel like there was a huge change in the damage that was being done. I mean, like I said, my most powerful character was a mage. And I would have these characters like the paladins and the dragoons who are supposed to be your melee class. They're going in, and they still felt, even at the end game, they felt squishy. You know, you would think that they could go in and really take some punishment from whatever enemies, but they just, you would watch it every time, it's like their health bar just dramatically drops. You know,
I never really had an issue with that. I think it's weird because you don't have defensive gear in this game, which is odd. But yeah, I would just make a couple weapons. Like the crafting is pretty basic. You get a random stat boost for putting the various items on for additional bonuses.
But it was so minuscule that it just didn't matter.
I just did that with stuff that had a defense bonus on it already. So I was watching for weapons specifically that boosted my defense.
Which is awfully strange.
Yeah. Like there's no other way to boost your defense.
Right. Yeah, because the things that you could craft that are supposed to be your defensive stuff is like it'll only boost it, say, like 5. By like 5. I'm like, what the hell is 5 more defense gonna do when your attack can go up to like in the hundreds or even into the thousands? Like you can get that high, but you're gonna give me 5 for this item that I had to waste all this thing to craft it, like versus the beginning of the game where you get like 3. Like, come on, guys. That's I honestly, once I saw that the crafting was that bad, I didn't really care for that.
See, I had 4 weapons I would use for my apprentice parties. The Jester. It's one of the knives, higher end ones.
Yep.
But it gives you like a 50 defense boost, which is more than anything else I had. So my apprentices and scouts were my tanks, basically.
Beginning level characters, and they're like the tanks.
Well, Scout and Harlequin, I think, continues to use knives.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Scout class was the highest defense units I had because of that stupid Jester knife. You have to throw any semblance of sense out when party building in this game.
Basically. The one thing I didn't like how there wasn't very many options for healing. Like you could level your mage into a healing class. I can't remember what it was called. But
it was something stupid. Medica?
Yes. Yeah, Medica. And then your knight can turn into a paladin that has some kind of healing aspects. But like, you know, in the beginning of the game, like you don't have, like, it's not like you have potions that you can drop on you, or so. I mean, you can die. It's not often. I think maybe in the entirety of I probably put about 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours. I think I only wiped once, and it was because I was extremely overconfident with what I had, and I went into a boss fight, and I just got destroyed. But literally, I went back out, readjusted some of my gear around, and then I think it was around this time that was when I got my like extremely overpowered wand for my mage, and I went back in, and it was just like, oh, how did I die? Like, this was 20 minutes ago. Now I'm just, everything's dead.
Yeah, like I died a few times, but that's just because I kind of zoned out so much. I didn't realize some of my AI units got stuck on things.
Yep.
Like the AI handles battle no problem, but they get stuck easy. Like if you're paying attention, just switch control, move around a corner, you're fine. But
Right.
if you zone out, you can end up with like 2 of your party members halfway across the map.
They got to catch that bear, though. Come on.
Yeah, but yeah, see, it's weird. Like I can't, other than that, which is a minor issue, mechanically, everything in this game, it works fine. There's no issues.
It has a beginning and an end, and really, as far as glitches and all that, it's really not bad. I have heard of an issue people have had where they get to the end boss, and he's supposed to. There's kind of a cinematic type thing that happens during that fight that he's supposed to drop and die, but there was I guess a glitch where he just wouldn't fall. But they've already patched it. They actually, I believe, yesterday patched it. But the thing that I think is very good about this game, I mean, it is available on PlayStation, Switch, I believe Xbox. I'm not. Don't quote me on that though. But I see this game easily could be put on mobile. And even though I'm not crazy about microtransactions because it ultimately kind of screws over everybody involved, and with this game you almost don't need it, but it's kind of got that. It's not a graphic overhaul like your Call of Duties or anything like that. I mean, honestly, it could probably play on most standard phones, no problem. And it'd be a good game that you can just sit back, play it for a little bit while you're on the bus or whatever, and you can just kind of come back to it later. No problem. Send your guys out to go do missions, and it can continue to do that while the phone is down. And people could have fun with the base building. But
see, the next issue I actually had was the base building.
Yeah.
See, it's another one of those things, like fundamentally there's nothing wrong with it. It all functions properly, easy to understand. But it comes down to what are you building towards? Well, all your big stuff is basically giving you like bonuses for going out into battle.
Right.
Like, you eventually can start building statues, it reduce the damage you take, you'll deal more damage with them up.
Like you have enough space, and mind you, there is a cap, and I discovered that fairly quick how you get to your cap. I wish that there was something in the game that could tell you, but it's as you're going out into your missions that it shows you all your stats that are boosted because of your buildings, and if it's yellow, that means it's the highest it's going to go. But yeah, like you were saying, the statues that you can build, you can actually reduce all the damage coming at you by 50%. And then you can boost all the damage going out by 50%. I'm like, man, that's kind of overkill, and especially because those statues cost like near nothing to make.
Yeah, but while that's nice for how it does that, like, again, the end game basically seems to build towards things to boost you in combat. But the combat is so just kind of uninteresting because, you only got the 2 options, attack, special ability. And it doesn't feel that different between different characters. Well, the special ability does, but you're building towards an end game with your town to enhance an experience that is just lackluster. The whole exercise just feels pointless.
Yeah, and that's where I do wish. I think it was one of the things I put in my review that this game could benefit from just having more, just more of everything. Utilize all the buttons on your controllers. God knows we have enough of them that you could have put different attacks, or maybe if, like, say you are, we'll say a knight who's supposed to normally be close range. What if you had another attack where something stupid, like going to like Final Fantasy Tactics route, you could throw rocks at the enemies. Might not do a lot of damage, but maybe you could pull aggro off of them. By utilizing these other buttons and making other attacks that you could use will benefit the combat, of course, and make it more interesting. Because, yeah, you are building up, and by the time you start getting to those final classes and you have like the really good weapons, like you can just roll your controller on your face and you're going to really defeat anything. Like even the last boss, I didn't really have any issues with. And it's like, okay, well, I have my team is that in their third class, but they weren't max level, but they were there. But I'm like, man, this fight shouldn't be this easy. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like the game would benefit from just having more. Like, and I know you're not crazy about the story, but just having something after the game is done, and that's another thing, actually, that reminds me of. I'm a pretty big trophy hunter, and the thing that I really did not like about this game is you'll have to play the game 3 times to get all the trophies, which seems, I mean, the game isn't long. I think that if you were to just kind of rush through it, you could probably beat it, I would say 7 or 8 hours.
That sounds about right.
So, I mean, to get the platinum, you're going to be more than likely putting in close to, or no, because you have to build up your school too. And that can be kind of slow. So I would say to get this platinum, you're probably going to be putting in about 35 to 40 hours. And as much as I like this game, I would not play it that much. It wasn't that good.
Yeah. I think if I were to just sum up why don't like this thing, it's basically just a functional product. Yes, it does what it's supposed to do. It's nothing beyond that. There's not a lot of effort put into really any aspect of this game.
But would you say that it could be fixed?
Oh, definitely.
They could easily patch this game to add DLC to make it even better.
See, honestly, the only thing I think this game really needs to do to be enjoyable is make the combat a bit more involving. I mean, that kind of fixes my problem with the base building because, again, the only thing you're really doing with that is building to things to help you in combat, which is inherently uninteresting in this game, I find. So if the combat was interesting, the base building becomes worth it, and, well, the combat would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely go hand in hand. And it's like I said, the combat I did find enjoyable to a degree. I mean, it's no, Final Fantasy Tactics or anything, or we'll go back to like Secret of Evermore or those classic Super Nintendo RPGs. Yeah. It's not that, but it was just enough. And if this game was a $60 game, then I would have been horribly disappointed, and I would have probably given this a really low score. But yeah, a $20 game, and you're going to get a $20 product, and that's where like you have to kind of go into it with that like understanding, like, okay.
See, that's the thing though. There's this game on Steam called Shotgun Legend. I don't know if you've played it, but it's like it's between $3 and $5, and it's basically Legend of Zelda, except instead of a sword, you've got a shotgun. The game is so fun. There's so much, like, you've got basically a map the size of one from Legend, like the original Zelda on the NES.
Yeah.
All kinds of crap to explore and to do. It's $3 to $5.
That kind of reminds me of the game Reverie.
I've heard of it, but I've not played it.
It's definitely a cross of Earthbound and the Legend of Zelda, the Link's Awakening. Like, it has Earthbound's humor with Zelda's gameplay. Highly recommend that one. We'll just talk about other games that are like, yeah, this is kind of what this reminds us of, but here's some better ones.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, like, at $20, I'm getting less out of that than some of these, like, $3 to $5 games I've played before.
Right.
So,
and that's going to happen, I think. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Like, I think maybe if this was like $10 to $15, it'd be fine. $20 feels like it's pushing it for what you're getting.
And that's something that they could easily, I could see this game being on a flash sale for $5. Like, easily see it. I mean, PlayStation right now is even doing a sale. So I wouldn't be surprised if sales are kind of poor. They'll probably drop it down to, well, I'd say a fair 15. And once the sales kick it, then see it going under 10.
I'm not going to be surprised if on one of the slow PS Plus months, it's just going to end up one of the free games.
What are you talking about? That's like every month now.
I don't know. Most months there's something on there. It's like, all right, it's kind of nice.
Right. Well,
it's not often anything's like, this is free now? Awesome.
Right. Well, I make fun of it. But honestly, like, even this month's Friday the 13th, I know a lot of people give it shit, but it's like, I remember when the game came out and there was a lot of people that played it and were loving it. And so the game changed so much since it came out that it's worth going back to. In fact, I played it the other night. I'm like, this is so much fun. People need to play it.
Just realized something. If you're getting this on PS4 for $20, screw this. You can get Dark Cloud 2 for $20.
What other games can you get that are $20? You know what? You could probably get Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, for under $20. And guess what? That game, let's see, to get the platinum in that, it took me, I put about, a total of like 300 hours into that.
Yeah. And see, I'm not a big fan of Metal Gear. Me and that game series don't have issues, but they're good games. They're just not for me. So yeah, any Metal Gear game available.
There you go.
See, the $20 price point starts to look really bad when you compare it to other things on PS4 you can get for $20.
Or how about Final Fantasy the Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Quest thing? I think that's what it's called. The newer one, the chibi version. There you go. Same type of graphics. The story is a little bit better.
I'm not a fan of 15, but I didn't play the actual game. I'd played the demo when I was at E3 that year after weirdly accidentally crashing the Microsoft after party.
Nice.
All right. Just a weird, stupid story about that.
Okay.
I was there with a bunch of people at E3. And, the day was coming to an end. Like, well, there's usually some kind of after party going on here. And just publicly listed was the Microsoft one. But apparently it wasn't supposed to be a public after party. But they didn't tell the security that because they saw we had the normal E3 badges and just let us right in.
Either that or they just didn't care. Like, we don't get paid enough to care about this.
Well, like me and one of the other guys I was in there with ended up getting thrown out first, basically. But is everyone else still in there? I'm like, yeah. It's like, hold on, I'm just going to go back in. And the same guy lets him right back in.
Nice.
But no, it was like supposed to be just for like your guys who work at the video game stores selling all the games. And I got to hear one of the Microsoft executives basically just go, "We know you're the real stars here, the people keeping us going." Basically just buttering up store workers.
Oh, yeah.
With free booze, too. And it was hilarious. But yeah, I played the 15 demo there. Didn't like it.
Overall, I'm not going to say it was the best Final Fantasy, because it surely wasn't. But I have played worse Final Fantasies. So, well,
I mean, it's not Final Fantasy VIII, so it's got that going for it.
Dude, yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Come on, Square. What the hell? You announce every other damn game for Switch and PS4. And like, where's the love for 8? I have a theory about that, though. Next year's 20-year anniversary.
No, see, I think this has already been solved. It was a while back, like during the PS3 days. You know, they made the big announcement that Final Fantasy VII was going to be released on the classics, which, I mean, of course, it's Final Fantasy VII. They're going to announce it.
Right.
Eventually, 8 comes out, but there's no real official announcement for that. A little weird, but, you know, most games that came out on the PS Classics didn't get an announcement. So, like, all right. But then they announced Final Fantasy IX.
Yep.
Somebody asked them about this, and the only response given by the guy was, what was the question exactly? Like, why did you announce 9 but not 8? And he just kind of shrugs and goes, I like 9.
You know, that's the thing that sucks is like so many people like there's specifically 6, 7, and 9. Those are the 3 that like everybody under the sun talks about. But I was a teenager when 8 came out, and that like Squall, his character, like that was like, man, that's me. Like in a bad
hate
way.
Squall so much.
Like he's so like moody, but I mean that was when I was a teenager. But I loved the game. I thought it was great, and that's why it's like, man, every other game's been re-released and been pushed forward. 8, they never really did anything with that. But I think that there's been such a huge outcry once Square announced that everything's like coming to Switch and whatnot that I feel like they did that on purpose. They know people love 8, and next year's 20-year anniversary, so it makes sense. Like, you know, we're just gonna hold off another year and then like throw all things Final Fantasy, because I think that at E3 we're gonna see Final Fantasy VII, the remake, pop up again with a release date.
I don't know, from what I've been hearing, there's been so much crap going on behind the scenes regarding that game. I don't know if we will see anything on it.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard they've had to pretty much restart, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. It'll be 10 years, and we'll get that one.
See, I hate Final Fantasy VIII myself. I hate it more than any other Final Fantasy, largely because I hate that game so much. Just I hate Squall mostly. For a guy who doesn't talk much, he never shuts the fuck up.
There's all the constantly thinking, and it's moody. I think it's the biggest thing that draws me to 8 is actually the music. That was it's one of my favorite Final Fantasy soundtracks. But
see, other than Eyes on Me, it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, that one, I don't dislike Eyes on Me, but it's not the first song I go to when I listen to the soundtrack.
Eyes on Me, it's just kind of a dumb pop song, basically.
Well, that's ever since, they did it in that, and then they have done it in almost every other one, haven't they? They have a lot of pop songs.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't think it really started much until 10. Yeah. See, I don't think there's really much more to say about Valthirian Arc.
All I'm going to say, and this is my, of course, personal opinion here, Valthirian Arc, if you have interest, any listeners out there, if you have any interest in the game, I would recommend, maybe hold off a little bit. God knows that everybody, we all have backlogs right now. I mean, shit, I've got like 6 games I need to play right now. And so let this one just kind of Brood in the PlayStation Store for a while. Maybe pick it up once it goes on sale. It's a fine game, I think, but it's the $20 price point. Yeah, when you're comparing it to other games that are $20, yeah. Unless you really, really like watching the gameplay and you're like, I gotta play this, then by all means, go for it. Who am I to tell you no? But I mean, I think I gave it an 8 out of 10 because it was for me for a couple days there. It was pretty much a straight addiction. But now I'm like, yeah, maybe eventually I'll play it again to get some of the few trophies I didn't pick up in my first playthrough. But I don't see a platinum in this one.
See, I say this game is really only worth picking up if you want a game you can just kind of shut your mind down and zone out on for a few hours at a time. It's fine.
Yeah, that's the way to put it. It's fine.
Again, only if you're looking for something you can just shut your brain off and zone out on for a little while.
Fair enough.
I don't see how else you're going to get much joy out of this game.
I think it would be interesting if something else they could add. Okay, let's hypothetically let's make this game great. So they go through and they make the combat system like they do an overhaul, right? So now the combat's like really, really fun. What if at this point you also implement a multiplayer sense? If you want, you can do maybe not over a network because God knows they probably wouldn't have much in server's sake. So we'll say couch co-op, where you and 3 buddies could play the individual classes, and you could go in, and then they have added maybe a bunch of like dungeons and stuff, like a big dungeon crawl, and then you could go in with your 3 friends, and you guys could destroy this dungeon. Then,
that'd be fantastic. For a $20 game, yeah.
I mean, that right there.
Again, just making the combat a bit more involving, I'd say the game would be worth grabbing. You add some multiplayer and some bigger dungeons. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Hey, a Gate Studio, PBQ or PQ, we have ideas.
Really basic ideas anyone would probably have, but we have them.
But
I don't think they've developed it though. Didn't they just publish it?
PQ published it, and it was developed by Agate Studios.
What else has Agate done? I know I've played something by them before.
Let's see. They are an Indonesian company.
Maybe I've not played anything by them.
I'm looking it up right now because I know they've had other games. Academy. Okay, maybe not. No, they've done something else. They've been around since.
I see nothing. Nothing on their wiki page, at least.
I have their CB. Okay, so Valthirian Arc is, of course, the newest one. And by the way, I was wrong. It's PS4, Steam, and Nintendo Switch it's out for. They didn't bother with Xbox.
That's probably for the best.
Right. So they have a couple other games here called, let's see. Wait, can you just download the games on their website for free? No way. Onet Asli, which looks like really dumb.
Maybe I've not played any of these games before.
I think that they do mobile games. Soda Gambira looks like an off-brand Coca-Cola bottle. Oh shoot, they have a bunch of games on here. Dungeon Chef, Puzzle Fighter,
Football Saga 3rd anniversary.
Ooh, Love Spice. Okay, so they've done some games, but it looks like they've been doing the mobile market, which really then makes me believe that there's a chance that this game could eventually maybe be released on mobile. And if
I think it's better there than a home console.
Yeah, well, like I said, because one of the things that sucks is when you send your students out to do their missions, it can, like, I accidentally sent all my teams out to do the errands, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I literally sat there and went, shit.
See, here's what you do. You always send 2 on an errand and then use your 3rd to start clearing missions because it takes X number of weeks. So that speeds up your errand process.
Right. Well, and I didn't catch that.
I did that once too.
It was like I sent the other 2 on errands, and I knew that they were on errands. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll do this other mission. And I didn't see that it was an errand. So I was like, oh, man. So I ended up like just putting the controller down and making lunch. But yeah, if it was on mobile, you could easily do that. Send them all out, whatever. You're about to go to work, or you're on, I don't know. It doesn't matter. You can set it up. You can walk away. You can come back, and everybody's back from doing their thing. And I think it would do well. And especially if it was like, I'll say if it's a $5 game on mobile, it'd be worth it.
Oh yeah, but I don't do mobile. I hate playing on my cell phone.
Yeah, I'm not.
But yeah, a huge fan sure. Either, but it has market. Yeah, well, I think that's basically anything we could even say about this game, other than the graphics are fine. It's not bad.
It's fine. And see where you and I differ is I say it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Where you're like it's fine.
It's a functional product.
You can maybe sit this one out. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. Yeah, go spend $20 on a different game.
I don't know. Maybe one day, if we both have time, we can argue about Final Fantasy VIII. That'd probably be a much more interesting discussion.
Well, it's a much larger game.
Indeed. All right. Well, thanks for stopping in, and everyone who ends up watching this, thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
All of the links and whatnot to reviews and Twitter are all in the description. This video will be up on BitChute whenever it finishes rendering on YouTube.